afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. I know we usually come at you in the mornings, but we're shaking things up a little bit. We're coming to you in the afternoon because I have got somebody that I am so excited to be joining me. Whenever I have somebody special on the show, it always gets me pumped up, always gets me excited. But Natalie Verrette in particular, the president and chief operating officer over at Champions Funding, is one of those people that when you start having a discussion with her, when you really start diving in deep and understanding the wealth of knowledge that she has, it literally just blows your mind. And this episode is going to be nonetheless. It is going to be super exciting. Plus, we're talking about the value of partnerships. That is something more than ever with the craziness in our industry, with all that's going on. You have to be able to trust, to know that your partners have your back. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to shred. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the Shred Show. Like I mentioned, I'm so excited to have Natalie join me this afternoon. And the conversation that we're going to be having is one of those that truly starts to make you think, that starts to consider, who am I partnering with? Who's got my back? Who do I need to be having conversations with? Who should I be building relationships with? And who can I really trust and have that confidence in to really help me grow in the next few months, especially with all that's going on with the market, with interest rates all over the place, with the housing market up and down fluctuating. Natalie, I am so excited to have you on the Shred Show today. I appreciate and I'm grateful for all that you are going to share with us. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to chat with you today.
I'm excited to chat with you. And before we get into it, like I mentioned, we're going to have some great conversation, talking about the value of partnerships, talking about what's going on in the market right now, talking about how you and Champions Funding can really be that person we all need, that company, that trusted, reliable. I like the word reliable right now because we all need reliability, that partner that we all need. But before we do that, let's get to know Natalie a little bit. Natalie, you've been in the industry for quite some time. I like to say you're one of the veterans of the industry. But for those who may not know your background, share a little bit about your background and then how you became with Champions.
I'm going to date myself. I'm 43 and I got into the industry when I was 17. So I've been in it for 20-something.
17? What did you do? Were you like processing? How'd you start?
I started off as a junior receptionist because I wasn't qualified to be a receptionist because I was not 18.
You were a junior receptionist. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this just goes to show you can start anywhere in our industry. And as long as you continue to work hard, continue to show your value, you can go from junior
receptionist. I wasn't even qualified to take out the trash. And yet
she can't answer the phones yet. No. She's just got to warm up there. Don't let her start there.
Yeah, so I started out there and I just worked my way up, right? Went to receptionist. I graduated when I was 18 and then junior processor underwriter, and then worked for small broker shops and eventually moved into the space of working for a lender. I got a lot of experience working for my dad because he started a correspondent lending company. And then from there transferred over, it's a long history. So we'll cliff note it. I started working with Evan back in 2006, late 2006, early 2007. And I was running operations for Pacific Union Financial at the time when we were also a broker shop. And we migrated over to wholesale. And then we were doing retail, then wholesale, then correspondent. And you know the whole story of Evan's background with Pacific Union. And one day he came to me probably 3 years into the relationship and said, I'm promoting you to run sales. I said, what? And he's like, well, I think you'd be good at it. So I moved into sales for about 10 years and then migrated back into, EVP of different parts of the organizations with correspondent and with retail and wholesale and, direct to consumer. And that's kind of the long story, cliff noted very briefly for us. But I will say the reason I decided to stay in mortgage is because helping people, the one way I know that I can do it and do it well is through mortgage origination, right? Like I don't have the tolerance to be studious enough to become a doctor and save lives. But I feel that, I have a story that I always like to share for folks that are entering into this market and into this business. When I was a processor, I had a loan that lasted for 9 full months. And it was back in the day when you used like facsimile pages, like there wasn't email yet. And these people needed to repair their credit and they had 4 kids living in a 2-bedroom apartment. They actually were going through a divorce because of the process. And when we finally closed their loan, they moved into a home that was a 4-bedroom house, 1 room for each. And their mortgage was less than their rent. And they came in with the kids crying and thanked me for changing. The words they used were, "Thank you for changing the blueprint of our children's lives for the future." And I cry almost every time I see this story, because some of them I was like, man, all I did was push some paper and help these people, but I've changed their lives for the better, one would hope. And so my journey began. And here we are.
That's amazing. From junior receptionist now to president, COO. And again, you're changing. It's interesting that you say that, because we have a very similar, it's funny, you talk about doctors. I dropped out of medical school to get into the industry. Like, I didn't want to go that route. And then my very first loan that I closed is very similar to your story. Like, we do have that opportunity to change people's lives. This is one of the biggest financial decisions. And being in leadership roles, we have the opportunity, the responsibility, may I say, to train the new. I mean, you and I, we are some of the younger ones, 43, 34. There's so much potential, so much opportunity for the new generation, for the younger demographic to start coming in. People don't see our industry as sexy. It's not something that's like, oh man, I want to be a loan officer. I'm sure when you were, even though you got in when you were 17, I'm sure you're like, yes, even though your dad was in it, you're not like, yes, I want to go join the mortgage industry. I just don't think that was it. But we have that responsibility to show all the new LOs, all the new people who want to come join our industry, that it can be rewarding, that it can be impactful. And you may not, like you said, you may not be a doctor saving lives, but you have an opportunity to impact families' life, to help them achieve that dream of home ownership. And that is right up there with saving lives, in my opinion. Allie, what's up? That's awesome. See, everybody loves Natalie's story. So Natalie, let's dive into something though, because I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of our conversation, just because, as I mentioned, right now, more than ever, our industry, there's a lot going on right now. And you know this, again, you've been in this industry a long time. You've seen the ups and the downs. Again, you saw the crash 07, 08, 09, kind of went through all that. But we're Champions Funding in particular, in the non-QM space, you guys are just getting started, just starting to kind of, scratch the tip of the surface here. How much of what the market is doing and all that is going on, how much of that is actually affecting non-QM and Champions?
I mean, it's a roller coaster, right? So anything that happens in the market affects non-QM, and it affects all of us, right? Anyone who's in the mortgage industry, whether you're from the capacity of appraisal management to realtors to traditional lenders, all of it, right? So we were fortunate enough that we didn't have to mitigate through some of the challenges our competitors had and some of our peers have, where they had billion-dollar portfolios of funded loan files and bid tapes and forward commitments that they had to mitigate through at lower rates. And we were fortunate enough, our first funding month was really, if you call it, in March of this year. So while was still small and getting ramped, we were able to pull back the throttle rapidly and then adjust pricing to be lateral with the market and be ahead of it. So we were fortunate to be a startup during this time. And we are also very fortunate in the fact that I am a veteran, but unanimously across all of our executive leadership team, from our founders to our team, we are all veterans, and we've seen this roller coaster and we've watched this movie. It may be a different version, right? It's Top Gun 2, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? And it all ends the same way. Market adjusts. Those who came in and decided to be smart business owners and mitigate through the credit risk piece of it before they mitigate through any other piece will survive, and they'll come out ahead and they'll knock it out of the park. So Evan and I, it's funny because we talk about this every time we meet in person, that this is exactly where we started our relationship at Pacific Union in 2006 and 2007, where we had to dial back, go through mitigating through credit risk, making sure that we're staying a little bit below the boxes to ensure that if there's additional changes that we're ahead of it, we have our finger on the pulse of the market when it comes to the credit criteria. It's a little bit different this time because it's more about liquidity versus being about credit mitigation.
Sure.
But what's happening is that the securitization is compressing that credit box. And in non-QM, the goal is what? Expand it, right? And so we're trying to expand that box in a way that's lucrative for our consumers, which is our borrowers and the underserved people we're trying to help serve, and doing our best to do so, while also ensuring that we're servicing our team members and they don't live in that constant angst of, will champions be here tomorrow? Are they going to be the next ones to be on, and I'm really going to date myself, on the implodimeter, right?
Oh gosh, we all remember that. Oh my heck. Yep.
So it's a scary time and there's a lot of uncertainty, but at Champions, we we persevere. And that's part of the attribute of being a champion. We were just talking about it on our monthly wrap-up call this morning with our folks of we have to be a beacon of light, and we have to be able to give that sense of security that is not a false security, true security to our brokers, who can then exchange that security down and cascade it to the borrowers of it's just a market fluctuation. It happens. It's cyclical. Yes, it's not a 7-year cyclical cycle anymore. It's a little bit more expansive, and it comes in ebbs and flows. But at the end of the day, we're going to get through it. You're going to get your house. You're going to be happy with it, or you're going to be able to pull that equity out that you need to buy that next investment, right? And so we're taking it day by day, and we are humble through the process, and we make sure that our team knows that we care for them first, and we'll always ensure that we take good care of them, no matter what comes at us.
You literally just like, we could stop there. That like was those last couple of minutes is just like, you have my brain going in so many different, like, holy cow, this is what they're doing. This is just literally, go back. Everybody listen to Natalie's last 3 minutes of what she's talking about, because what you just said, this is truly the example, the shining star, if you will, as somebody and as a lender leading by example right now. This is what we need more of. It's people taking responsibility, having the conversations, and truly asking the question is, what can we do for our client? What can we do for our broker partners that's truly going to be valuable for them? That's going to be able to help them go to the consumers, go to their clients, and really be able to provide something different, provide value that isn't there. Because something you said when you first started just a couple of minutes ago is you said, you guys thrive. You and Evan in particular, you guys have an incredible team, but you're looking at it as like, hey, there's an opportunity here. So many people are starting to pull back. So many people are saying they're going into defensive mode. And it's not that you're not going to defensive, but you're just playing smart. You're playing the long game. Because like you said, you and I both know we go through these ebbs and flows. So it's like, okay, let's take care of the people that have the trust and have the confidence in us, that are sending us these loans. And if we take care of them, and if we stay true to our word, we're going to grow. They're going to grow. We're all going to do well. So I want to kind of build on that in particular a little bit, because who is your ideal partner when it comes to brokers, when it comes to loan officers? Who is it that you're looking for that really can thrive within the Champions ecosystem?
So, I mean, our core values are driven by our mission, which is to serve the underserved, right? And so we are true believers of full transparency. We always have been. If we're going to make a guideline change, we announce it days before, or we announce it and we allow for lock periods, whatever it is, right? So for us, our true partner, someone's going to be transparent with us and live our mission, right? And so they're going to go out of their way to go the extra mile for their borrower, right? And be comprehensive in the way that they're looking at their options for their mortgages, and make sure that they're not taking advantage of them. Because let's all be honest with each other, and let's use the bad word subprime, right? Everybody boxes non-QM into this subprime, like taboo area, which is why we have a significant gap in age. We go back to our beginning of our conversation of millennials not coming into this space, because I mean, you might as well have the plague if you tell them that you're in mortgage, right? So we look at our brokers, are you doing the right thing by your borrower? Are you charging them appropriate fees? Are you doing the right, are you being a good partner to champions by being fully transparent? Like, tell me what's up with the deal. Let us know where you're going with it and what you're trying to achieve for your borrower. From there, we'll work through it, because our first core value is champion service, a yes before no, right? And we want to, like, it's always a yes before it's a no. We might not make every deal, but we're going to do everything we darn well can to help your consumer, right? So if you really think about underserved markets, brokers are underserved. They have been for forever. And it's heartbreaking to see it, but the larger agencies, and you know, it's my personal and humble opinion, I could be wrong, and anybody who can test me, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes, but they've tried to box brokers in, push them out of market. The regulation, you have to be NMLS licensed versus NMLS registered. You have certain constraints on how you disclose, all these different aspects of boxing in brokers. And for us, they are also an underserved population, and we want to take care of them. So we make sure that we're transparent with them. We tell them why we're doing the things that we were doing, making the changes that we're doing, and anywhere we can give them a pickup. When I go and look with our operations group and say, okay, we're going to change the process, and here's why. And I put myself in the seat of when I was a broker. What do I want? I want my approval quickly. I want it to be thorough. I sure as heck don't want conditions to be added at the end, right? If you're going to tell me, like, bad news does not, it's not like wine. It doesn't get better with time. Let's just give it to them straight out of the gate. Like, if you give me this and I see that, it's not going to work. So it's not that we're helping them mitigate through giving us inaccurate information, but it's like, this is what I need. If you can't get me this, these are your alternative options, right? And so we try to take care of our brokers from that perspective, as well as just being ahead of the market to ensure that they have somewhere to send their loans. Like they may not be able to go to 95% anymore, but we're telling you we're here and we're going to stand strong because we're ahead of the credit risk mitigation to ensure that we're still here to help the underserved and the CDFI eligible borrowers. So our perfect broker is one that's able to be agile, who understands the only constant in mortgage is change, right? And so if they're barking and complaining and saying to us, oh, I can't believe you, blah, 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 did this, did that, like that's not a partner we want. We want a champion as a broker to be our business partner because they represent us in the marketplace with the consumer, right? So the experience that they have with ABC broker, whoever they are, they're going to remember it based off of how Champions performs,
Of course.
right? Or vice versa. If the broker is not acceptable or respectable or doesn't live our core values, they're going to think of Champions in that light, and we don't want that. So our perfect partner is someone who lives our core values and really does the right thing, period. Like it doesn't matter. It's hard to do it sometimes, but you have to do the right thing. And when they do, then they grow our relationship with us and we take care of them.
This is such an like crazy breath of fresh air because so often is it just like, oh, we just want to partner with brokers because we just want to help them close deals. We just want to like, just send your deals this way. We want your deals. We'll help you close them. But it's like, you know what? We want people who have the same ideals, who have the same belief, who have the same vision of where our industry is going and that we can better it together. That's what true partnership looks like. Again, they're counting on you to help them to get that yes and to be upfront, to be transparent, all those things that you mentioned, Natalie. But at the same time, it goes both ways. It's going back and saying, hey, we want brokers, we're grateful for this, but we want it's got to be a two-way relationship. It's got to be double-sided. We got to be able to strengthen and help one another. And so I think it's one of those, and you just don't have a lot of lenders out there talking about that right now that are educating a lot of them are just walking on eggshells because they just want the deal. But at the same time, it's just like, well, you know what? If we're willing to be transparent for you, you got to be transparent for us. And we've got to be able to work cohesively. We've got to be able to build and strengthen one another. Because if we're not doing that, ultimately we lose.
Yep.
I want to ask you something on this because you've been on both sides. You and I both have, you and I have been in the trenches on originating on that side of things. Right now, we've seen ups and downs. We're going to continue to see ups and downs. What's something in your personal opinion? What's something that brokers really should be mindful of? What should they be working on right now? What's something that they really need to be like, hey, with everything that's going on, I need to have my mindset here. I need to be thinking about this.
I think they need to be cautious of how they're pre-qualifying their borrowers, and they really need to be looking at the best home for them and how much reserves that they have, right? Because it shouldn't be based, a lot of folks are the order takers, right? And it's unfortunate reality, but it's what it's come to. And what happened with the interest rate migration down when we had COVID, a lot of folks got into the mortgage industry and were just literally order taking, right? They were doing portfolio retention or they were doing rate and term refis or cash out because equity was high, right?
Yep.
So when they're going to get themselves in a spot where if their pipeline is all extremely rate sensitive and all of a sudden rates continue as what's happened, they're migrating, but it's not a slow migration, right? The Feds increased the rates a quarter the first time, then 50 basis points. They're saying they're going to increase them again in September. Who knows? But when that happens, it hurts because you have to go back and resell these borrowers. So my humble opinion and advice to a broker is make sure you're qualifying based on the home they really want, the home they can qualify for, and give yourself some room. Stop focusing just on the interest rate because it will change. Whatever it is today, next week, or by the time you're closing, it may change. And as we know, and I'm not throwing shade on anyone, and we haven't done this, but there are lenders who have to break locks. Like we don't care what rate you're locked in at. At this point, every file is relocking. We've seen it. It will continue to happen as interest rates migrate. And they do that because if they don't, they're going to go out of business, right? It's just a part of maintaining their structure and their economic life. So I would tell them, be cautious of how you're pre-qualifying borrowers, give yourself some room so that way your pipeline isn't overexpanded with rate sensitive borrowers. And the other piece of it is be careful who you partner with. Make sure they're a true business partner, that they are going to take care of you and make you whole and make those exceptions for you when you need them. And that they don't have, like, whoever's got the best interest rate out there, be cautious.
Oh, man. So what you're telling me that we actually have to do our jobs a little bit and actually have to qualify borrowers? Wait a minute. That's not standard. The last couple of years, we've just been cranking deals. I love that you say that. And again, this just shows how much I appreciate you and the leadership at Champions, because we're being upfront. There's so many people like, oh, just keep selling rate. If you do that, like it never puts any of us in a good situation. We literally, we have to be thinking more about, this is great. This is a great comment here. That's some serious truth bombs, #truth bombs. And it really is. Be careful who you partner with. You mentioned it earlier. The brokers have been under attack in the past. They've been put into these boxes. You need to be really looking at who has your back, who is a true partner, and who's going to allow you and really help you to grow. And along with that, I mean, you actually mentioned something, because I want to talk about the dynamics of Champions a little bit. The team, you guys are a mission-based lender, and you literally said this already. I've heard it from Evan now. I heard it on our last conversation, but you guys live to serve the underserved. So that being the case, what is the culture like that supports that mission at Champions?
It exudes into the culture, right? So from the moment that we were looking for our offices, from looking for like where we're going to make corporate and our home base, right, to how we recruit, who we recruit, where we recruit, right, the vessels and the vehicles we're using to retain talent, right? So serving the underserved is it's just ingrained in every fabric and fiber of our culture, which our underwriters know, like that they will look at loan files and we'll have applications that come in and they'll say, I don't wish to furnish, but then they'll have an ID and the person looks that they would qualify, physical appearance, that they will qualify for a CDFI improvement. And they'll reach out to the broker and be like, hey, I want you to extend to your borrower and let them know that they're actually going to get a betterment for like saying what their ethnicity is versus getting adversely impacted, right? And then they'll be like, okay, they'll wait all the way up until it's almost docs and then change it because they've had that negative experience. And it breaks my heart because deep within our souls, we are on a mission to serve the underserved. No matter what it's going to take from us to do it, we're going to get the voice out there. And there's a lot of work ahead of us. And we're just one tiny drop in a big, ocean of options for our borrowers. But at the end of the day, the way we recruit, we want to go out and start initiatives. Our HR department, our VP of people or EVP of people is doing this for us, where we're going to recruit in Boys and Girls Clubs. We're going into the neighborhoods of the underserved populations to recruit them. Right? If you're going to a college, a lot of the populations that we're thinking about, I don't mean this with any disrespect, generationally, they haven't been to university. It's not even on their radar. They're like, who the hell's going to pay for that? How am I going to move and get an apartment or go to a dorm? And I can't do that. I got to pay bills, right? Or I'm a teen mom, or I grew up in an orphanage. So those are the places we want to go into that space, into the markets we're trying to serve and say, not only do we want to give you a mortgage, we want to change your path and we want to help you if you would like, or if you're asking for help, and educate you on how you can use real estate as a financial vehicle for yourself, as well as you can enter into the mortgage industry, whatever aspect or facet you'd like to. We can be an entry-level position for you and grow you and help you get there as long as you live our core values. So Boys and Girls Clubs, local churches, community leaders, we're trying to embrace as much as we can within the culture, because if we don't do it on the inside in our core, it's not going to exude out to our client space and then eventually to the consumer and the communities we're trying to serve.
Well, what I love is, I mean, just like yourself, starting as a junior receptionist and then working your way up, anybody can do it. Finding those who may not have had that opportunity. And that's what I love. And that's what you and the entire team, the entire culture, from Evan that I've talked to every we've had discussions with in the past, it really is who you are at your core. That's who Champions is. And it like I said, I mentioned it earlier, it just gives me this hope, because our industry for so long too has been so suit and tie. So the banking industry, the financial industry has just been so straight laced for so long. But now it's companies like Champions that are saying, hey, there are other people out there. There are people, there's an underserved community that we can go and we can find those people. We can give them opportunity. We can teach them. They're incredibly intelligent beings. They're just not getting the opportunities. They're not getting the at-bats that they should. So let's give them the at-bats. Let's show the world what these incredible human beings are made of. And it's exciting, because that's what the future of our industry looks like. And the fact that you and Champions are championing this entire movement, like it's cool. Like so many companies are just focused on getting the deal done, getting the loans done, getting, it's a number. They're getting them through the system as fast as possible. And they're recruiting right now more than ever. I hear this a lot. People are recruiting in very malicious, I'm going to use that word, very, very malicious ways. And you guys are like, hey, let's go find the underserved. Let's go find the people that are like, Who's out there looking for an opportunity? Who's hungry? Who's willing to bust their ass and make it happen and just do some really incredible things? It's exciting times. You've got to just have this sense of pride and just be incredibly proud to be part of an organization like this.
I would say it's more a sense of humility, to be honest with you, because I came from nothing, right? I mean, I paid my way through college working 2 jobs in mortgage. And I remember when I was younger, this is not a pity party by any means. For a while, we were living in the back of a Pinto, right? I remember being in the back of my mom's hatchback while my dad was on his job. So it's the humility of, like, even then I was more entitled than some folks that are out there that we're seeking to help. Right. And so when we say that we're trying to reach out to those young individuals or those folks that didn't get an at bat, what's sad to me is they don't even know they're missing it. They don't know they're missing the at bat. They're not even aware of the opportunities that could be afforded to them if they just knew the right person or were in the good old boys club, whatever, or had that connection of the family affiliation. Right. So I'm proud of it, but from a position of humility, we have so much work to do. We have so much work ahead of us. There's so many people who can still help, and it's overwhelming, but it's exciting, right? Because as a champion, what do? Our responsibility is to be the first, right? To push that line. I tell my team, they make fun of me all the time because I use stupid analogies, but we were talking about that show. Have you ever heard of like American Ninja Warrior?
Of course, love it.
Right, and you watch it, and it's like that one stunt or whatever that no one can get through. You see like 6 or 7 people failing. Then the first person that makes it, everybody after them makes it, right? So that's what we aim to do. We want to break through, crush those ceilings, crush those walls, whether it be for women engagement, whether promoting women, promoting underserved people, taking someone who others have said, oh, your personality, you're too assertive or you're too talkative. Take that person and maximize that strength. Put them on a phone, right? Take that underwriter that's overcritical, put them in risk. Right. So for us, it's a sense of pride, but I caution all of our team members, be humble with this and be respectful of it, because you are afforded an opportunity and a gift that many people haven't been. And we have to respect that and covet it, to be quite candid, because I've never worked for an organization that's been able to give this or have this offering and this appetite to really make a difference, not just financially and look at people like widgets, but to truly go into people's homes and lives and change them.
You literally, you're giving me freaking goosebumps at that humility aspect. Like, dang, that just shows, like, legitimately, Natalie, like the type of leader that you are. Like, there were so many people that could have taken that a different, like, yes, I am proud, like, I am grateful, but like you took that in a direction that I absolutely was not expecting it. And it truly shows the caliber of leader that you are. It shows the culture. It shows who Champions Funding is. And that's why I know, and I know for a fact that you and the team are going to just thrive. You're going to grow. You mentioned this in the very beginning. Now there's great opportunity right now. Everybody's worried about, lack thereof. And like, oh, everybody has this scarcity mindset, but you're like, forget that. We're going to go out there and we're going to change the world one person at a time. We're going to go find those people. Yes, it is. Is it hard work? The fact that you even mentioned that, yeah, we know there's a lot of hard work ahead of us. We ain't scared. We're going to lock arms. We're going to get there on the field, and we're just going to make it happen. That's why I've joined Champions Funding. These are the type of things that we all look for. You are the type of people, Champions Funding and the team that is being constructed there is that shining light. It's that glimmer of hope in dark times. And I am just excited. I am grateful. I am humbled. This has been one of those conversations for me, Natalie, that just truly, like I said, it brightens my day. It brightens my outlook for our entire industry. So thank you. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for all that you shared. I know everybody listening today has got something out of it. Go out there. Ladies and gentlemen, what Natalie has shared, go out there. You have the opportunity to impact people's lives. If you're looking for opportunity, maybe if you feel a little down in the dumps and you're saying, hey, I need a great team like Champions, reach out to them. We'll put a link below that you can contact them and their team. Maybe you're looking to make a change. Maybe you just want an improvement. Maybe you need better people in your lives. Clearly, Natalie is one of those people you need to surround yourself with. So, Natalie, thank you so much for everything you've shared. And I really appreciate it. And I'm very grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm very appreciative as well. Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those shows that like I said, here's the link. There it is right there, champstpo.com. Thanks, Melanie, for dropping it in the chat. If you have any questions, if you have any, want to learn more, go to championstpo.com. I guarantee you can definitely learn some incredible things that you've already learned today. With that, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya.